Hey, does anybody here know where I put my stuffed Appa down? Avatar comes out in like today, and oh, that's where it is.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. They're totally not gonna trade everybody next week. It's fine. Some really good teams have given up 7 to the Leafs.
Oh, he doesn't look good. How long's he been like this?
Oh, him? Yeah. It's been like 2 days.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. And I don't think it's going to get better anytime soon either.
Oh, and just when you think it can't get any worse, I think he's about to take the camera.
You know what? I think I've earned the right to speak now. Because this is just getting absolutely ridiculous. It's not even the Golden Knights' fault anymore, which is the most frustrating thing about this. Yeah, sure, the last 6 games have not gone very well. And I know the last time I talked to you guys is because we had just snapped the Edmonton Oilers' massive, almost record-breaking win streak, and I thought, oh, this team might have just turned the corner and everything's going to be fine now. Last week of hockey, week plus of hockey, Golden Knights have beaten 2 teams. Which 2 teams, might you ask? Oh, you know, only the world's most formidable opponents, the San Jose Sharks and the Arizona Coyotes, who are soon to become the Utah whatevers they're going to be called, because they're not going to be the Coyotes much longer. So essentially, we've lost to the Arizona State Sun Devils and the Sharks, who I'm convinced would get contracted if this league was anything like British soccer. Okay, buddy, you're not wrong that it hasn't been very good, but I think we all need to calm down just a little bit. Here, have a video of puppies. Well, if you think cuteness is the only thing that's keeping me sane here, I've got plenty of that, but that is not even remotely close to where we're at right now. The Golden Knights are 2-4 in their last 6. And while for some teams that is a very successful week, akin to, you know, the 2 teams that we've beaten, the only 2 teams we've beaten recently, the fact of the matter is Golden Knights are losing to teams that they shouldn't be losing to. They lost last week 3-1 to the Hurricanes in a game where Spencer Martin looked like he's going to win the Vezina this year. He's made exactly 1 start with the Hurricanes before he decided to pitch one of his greatest career games against the Golden Knights in a 3-1 win for the Hurricanes. And then, of course, coming into town is the Minnesota Wild. Who's the Minnesota Wild? Because they haven't really been relevant to the playoff picture in the Western Conference until very recently. They come into the Fortress like it's no big deal and put up 5 on the Golden Knights and win 5-3. Now, I know they're trying to save their season, and I know they're a good team. They also put 10 goals up on the Canucks, so maybe they're not that bad. Yes, I know they put up 10 goals on the Canucks. It was awesome. You want to know how I know it was awesome? I was there. I was there in the building for that game. I watched them score 7 in the 3rd period. Was it amazing to watch the President's Trophy favorites and the lead in the Pacific Division get absolutely decimated by the Wild? Yes, it was. Did it hurt just as badly to turn around a couple nights later and watch the Golden Knights get absolutely harpooned at home in front of their own fans? 7 goals against the Leafs. And then I had to come home and watch Steve Dangle and his smug face talk about how, oh, lucky number 7. Yeah, the Golden Knights are a bad team right now. And what's really frustrating is it is not 100% their fault, but that is really where the doom and gloom comes in, because it's not going to get any better anytime soon. The main cause of the Golden Knights' fall from grace for the last 2 weeks is just the absolute frustrating fact that hockey's a full contact sport and players get hurt. And we knew that Jack Eichel was out for a long term, and he's been out forever, and the Golden Knights found a way to keep winning. But you can function pretty well without one of your best forwards in the lineup. Everything is going to be fine so long as you're able to support him with good depth scoring, and I know Shea Theodore just came back, which was great. We're yet to win with him in the lineup, which is a whole other point altogether, because he's been back 2 games and has done nothing in those 2 games. And, you know, Will Carrier's still out, and Dorofeev's still out with a concussion, and we've got a lot of those menial mid-to-bottom players that are still major parts of this organization, but are out hurt. So as long as nobody continues to get hurt, and as long as nobody else important gets hurt, Eichel's making the road trip coming up, everything's gonna be fine.
Who's gonna tell him?
I'll do it, give me a sec. Stone's out week to week. Well, that's just wonderful. Excuse me. So you're telling me Jack Eichel's out long term. He might come back. He might not come back. He might come back tomorrow for all we know. He's on the road trip with the team. So he could play, but he probably won't because he's still on LTIR. Stone's week to week. Rumor has it he's lacerated his spleen, which has a 4 week to 9 month recovery window. So let's just pencil him in for game 1 of the playoffs, if we get there, of course, because that's not a given anymore, given the way the standings are looking. Theodore's back. He's done basically nothing. Aiden Hill's turned into Swiss cheese. And the trade deadline is in 2 weeks. Time to start being conspiracy theorists, because I've got some theories as to what's going to happen now. I do a little bit of research for these videos, and, usually it's whenever there's rumors or there's a trade that's about to happen. I like to, cover my bases, or if I'm going to be talking about an injury like I did with Stone, I like to make sure it's coming from a somewhat reputable source. This whole monologue is not reputable at all. This is pure hearsay. This is me being really a frustrated Golden Knights fan. So as it stands now, the Golden Knights have $19 million in available cap space, assuming Eichel doesn't come back until Game 1 of the playoffs, assuming we get there. Which means there is $19 million at most that the Golden Knights can go out at the trade deadline and spend money on. But for ease of use here, let's just assume Eichel does come back before the deadline. And he does come back before Game 1 of the playoffs, again, assuming we get there. That's still $9 or $10 million in available money that didn't exist 24 hours ago before Stone got run into and his internal organs decided to blow up. So what should the Golden Knights do? And I'm going to say this, the reason I'm so frustrated is I have absolutely no trust in this organization to do the smart things. I remember the first year, everything was going great, and then a first, a second, a third for Thomas Tatar. That's all I need to say about that. We haven't made a lot of bad reactionary trades, but I always wonder when the first one's going to be. Right now, there are a couple of major contenders. One of them is actually backed up by some speculation. And it gets even more complicated if we look at who the Golden Knights are playing tonight. Rumor has it, out on the street, Golden Knights are looking for a top-flight winger to replace Stone, try and get this team into the playoffs, which is exactly what any good GM would do. And so when I looked at Twitter this morning, and I saw that the Golden Knights are chasing Vladimir Tarasenko, I wanted to throw something. Because that is not the kind of player that you want on this team right now. He doesn't fit the system. And when I saw the asking price that's being reported, I wanted to throw something even harder. Brendan Brisson in a second. That's the word on the street for Tarasenko to come from. Where does Tarasenko play? Oh, right, Ottawa, who the Golden Knights play in 3 hours. This could be a tryout game for Brisson and his new team and Tarasenko and his new team. I don't really like the way that feels. I know we're bringing in the guys that won the Stanley Cup with Pietrangelo and Barbashev, and that'll have some good chemistry, but Tarasenko just doesn't fit with this team, and I feel like that would be an overreaction to God knows what's actually happening behind the scenes with the injuries. Eichel, Stone, Carrier, Dorofeev, and the like. The second thing that might happen at the trade deadline, if this team continues to sputter, because, by the way, this road trip is just unfathomably important for the future of the Golden Knights season. It's a stretch of 6 if we count the 7 to whatever shellacking at the hands of the Leafs and getting booed off the ice at home, which is... This road trip is massive. You play 2 teams in the playoffs and 3 teams not in the playoffs. 3 teams not in the playoffs. I know 2 of them are Ottawa and Buffalo, and I think Columbus is in there too. But then we play the Leafs again and the Bruins. So we're not winning those games. Even with our best lineup, we're probably not winning those games. And right now, we've got the top 6 of the Henderson Silver Knights in the lineup. God, it's so bad. But the second target for the Golden Knights that I've also seen reported, and this has been reported for weeks and weeks and weeks now, is calling up our buddy Kyle Dubas and making a deal with the Penguins. And yes, I'm talking exactly about who you think I'm talking about, in former number 19, Riley Smith. Very happy to have him back if he does come back, but I feel compelled to say that that's a nostalgia thing. Has he had the greatest year in Pittsburgh? Absolutely not. Would the Pens have to retain some salary to get him to come over here? Probably, and they have the leverage to do it. He's only got 1 year on his deal, and I'm sure we could sweeten the pot with something, but we need a little bit more than just Riley Smith to right the ship. And when I saw the name Jake Gensel thrown in there, got a little bit excited, and then I realized, wait a second, that's going to cost a small fortune. And so I immediately stopped dreaming, because that's also a horrible idea. Sure, Gensel's a point-per-game player, and putting him on a line with, Marchessault and Barbashev would work, but if we're bringing back Smith, if we're going to do that anyway, just put the misfit line together at this point. But this is just pie-in-the-sky dreaming, because it's never going to happen. Knowing our luck, we're going to go get Frank Vetrano or something, which would make one guy on Twitter super, super, super happy. But anyway, the fact of the matter is that wouldn't be the greatest deal for the Golden Knights. Now, this is my idea as to what might happen, because screw the future. We want to win back-to-back Stanley Cups, and we want to take advantage of some veteran players who really know what they're doing. Who are the two best players currently in the NHL? That's a trick question, because I'm asking who are the two best players in the NHL circa 2008. The answer is Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. Both of those guys are at the end of deals. They're on teams that are not going to win the Stanley Cup this year. No offense, Pittsburgh. And all offense, Washington. You guys aren't winning the Cup this year. You have superstars there at the end of their career. They want one more shot at the Cup. So I just had the thought of what would happen if the Golden Knights said, screw it. Brisson, Denisenko, and 2 first-round picks split evenly between the Capitals and Penguins for Crosby and Ovechkin. Would that make the team better? Yes, it would. Would it make the future any brighter? No, it wouldn't. But would it be really, really cool? Absolutely, it'd be amazing. But it's never going to happen. As much as I can dream, it's never going to happen. And this is why I'm so concerned about the trade deadline now that the team is spiraling, and because they're injured to hell and back, is they might do something that stupid. Because everything I just said is unfathomably stupid. Whew, you know things are dark when even he starts making sense. And as for the game tonight, I have no idea what's going to happen against the Sens. This is a game that the Golden Knights absolutely need to win. You glance at the standings, Vancouver's going to win the Pacific. I've accepted that. Edmonton's, they're really close. They've got games in hand. I think they're 3 points back with 3 in hand. They're probably going to pass the Golden Knights here pretty soon, which is going to suck. And then right behind them, buoyed by that new coach bump, is the Kings, who went from nowhere to threatening to be third in the Pacific. If they're not careful, by the time they get back to Vegas to play the Canucks in a week, they might not be in the playoffs. I know that's very doom and gloom, and realistically, the worst they're going to be is the first wild card. But they still have to find a way to win some games. I know you're missing 100 points out of your lineup this year, and I know the Golden Knights are missing all these great players. They're missing their captain. They're missing their star scorer. They're missing one of their most critical fourth-line guys. They're missing some rookie influence. They're missing all that in a bag of chips, and they're probably the most injured team in the NHL right now, just as they were 2 years ago when they missed the playoffs. And I'm really trying to keep that little voice in my head quiet that this is a repeat of that year. The team was in great standing at the All-Star break and then imploded, or was in first place at Christmas and then imploded, just like they did that year. I don't know what's going to happen. They need to win tonight. That's all I have to say, is they need to win tonight. They have to win the games they're supposed to win on this road trip. They have to beat Ottawa. They have to beat Buffalo. And if it is Columbus, they have to beat Columbus. And if you can find a way to steal a point against the Leafs or the Bruins, do that. You need to get as many points as you can between now and the trade deadline. The better position you are at the deadline, the less likely your front office is to do something dumb. And I hate saying our front office is dumb, but I just have trust issues. Not with this team, because they've been great. And I'm still a little bit jaded from the Dadonov situation 2 years ago, because that was fun. But you just never know what's going to happen. The NHL is a weird place. The Panthers are one of the best teams in the East. You know, I just saw the Canucks give up 10 goals in one game while being the best team in the NHL to the Wild. You never know what's going to happen. And that is what makes hockey so much fun, but it's what makes it so scary. And so I say again, just get points. Find a way. I hate talking directly to the players because I know they don't watch this, but Alex Pietrangelo, you get to be the captain again. Jonathan Marchessault, you have to prove why you won the Conn Smythe. I know you're having a career year, and you couldn't have done it in a year that wasn't your contract year, but that's not the point. Chandler Stevenson, you need to score a goal. Shea Theodore, get a point. Hill, make a save. That's it. That's all you got to do. Play the way that you did last year when you won the Stanley Cup. Or play the way that you did last year when you went through 5 goalies in 5 games and you found a way to win. Adversity. Find a way to win. That's all you got to do. Don't care if it looks pretty. Don't care if it's 6-5 or 1-0. Find a way to win. I don't think I've ranted this much on camera ever. So I'm not sure how I feel about this. But losing 4 or 5 and getting booed off the ice at home, it's not a good look. I've been there for it once. Game 2 against the Montreal Canadiens a couple years ago in the playoffs. That's the first and only time I've seen the Boo Birds out in T-Mobile Arena, and I can only imagine how loud it was, especially after that game. But it's hopefully going to be fine. I know this lack of confidence jersey, this negative persona that I put on when I'm wearing this jersey is not entirely false. It's not entirely playing up for the camera. This is really what I talk about when I'm talking to people who know this team just as well as I do, and it irritates the bejesus out of them. And so, if anything, I'm saving their ears this rant and I'm putting it on the internet because no bad choices have ever been made by putting a rant on the internet. But anyway, things will be fine. There's plenty of games. They're going to make the playoffs. Hopefully. And when they do, I'll be there to break it down. Just like I will break down what I pray to God is not a loss to the Senators tonight. So, I'll see you in that one.